Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome to Naya Sim, and thank you all so much for all the love and support. Hope you all are doing great. Today, we'll be talking something very important, and it's about a comment that was dropped. And this comment started by, "Do you know why there is this effort to keep Black people from building their communities, owning their businesses, and all that?" Now, I am going to start by saying that you all already know how they feel about Black people owning businesses and all that. That's why if you go to Black community, you are going to see all sort of people, Asian stores all over everywhere. That's why they said that Black dollar doesn't stay up to 6 hours in Black community. Straight up, it is out of Black community. That is one of the reasons why I am still agitating that we support our businesses and all that, so we all can grow, so that our dollar can also remain in our own community. And also, you all already know how they feel about Black people and all that. How, I mean, like, you all remember how some communities were kind of brought down because they feel like Black people are growing and they do not want that. Why are they scared of that? Because they feel like, what has been done to Black people will definitely be done to them. But the truth is that nobody got that time. That's why sometimes if you look at them, some certain things will happen. You hear them say that you are treating me like a minority. And each time I hear that, I ask, how do you know how they treat my minority? They actually know. So they are taking notes. So they are kind of fearful that something like this might wake up one day and do not have a lot to do not have a lot. Let's get into.
Thank you for setting me up to talk about this. I know that you and many other Black people know the answer, but it is something that I'm still processing and it hits me really hard in the gut. And so I want people to understand that I am answering the question, what do I know? I'm not speaking for anyone. Many commenters today have pointed out how many affluent Black towns have been created and destroyed throughout United States history. And most non-Black people know about the Tulsa Massacre, Black Wall Street, Lake Lanier. But it was many Black towns. One commenter said over 60. And it's not that some Black people sometimes were able to establish a successful community that accumulated wealth. It's that Black people were consistently able to go anywhere and together establish strong communities that accumulated wealth and had education systems and businesses and were thriving. And every time it happened, people destroyed them. And then as you progress through time, it becomes less acceptable to burn and flood and massacre entire towns. So again, you have the passing of the Civil Rights Act in 1964, and the United States opens the door to Asian immigration in 1965. The United States has a long history of using immigrants to get in the way of Black people. And so I think that this system of using immigrant-owned businesses in Black communities is designed to siphon wealth away from Black communities. And another commenter asked me, why do I think that people are afraid of letting Black people build their communities and accumulate wealth and to thrive? And we see it so many times. It's because they fear revenge, because they know what they have done to Black people. But again, we have been told that if Black people wanted revenge, it would have happened already. That is not what they want. And I think that people think that the violence and exploitation and abuse of power that they have exacted upon Black people and all Black, brown, indigenous, and people of color is a universal human trait, and that if anybody has that wealth and power, then they would return that evil in kind. But it's not. It is specific to, and all Black people want is to be allowed to thrive and accumulate wealth and exist as other people have been allowed to do. And again, please understand that I am answering the question, what do I think that I know? People are afraid of letting Black people build.
So I want y'all to go back and watch that video of that young lady saying that white people will not allow Black people to build their communities up because they are afraid of retribution. I used to think that, but then I started thinking a little bit more. White people literally cannot function outside of the delusion of white supremacy. This is what I mean. So psychologically, whenever somebody experiences a cognitive distortion, they can either become very solemn or very violent. Usually it's violent. You ever notice how white people react when you try to remove them from the delusion of white supremacy? Or from the delusion of white cultural centering? Or from the delusion that white people created anything? See, I really love this creator because she is a model minority who utilizes her model minority status in order to intercept and deconstruct white supremacy. And when she does that, what happens is that usually there are a bunch of genuinely stupid, and TikTok, you can't get me this time because I'm utilizing the textbook definition of stupid, which is to behave as if though you are in a haze or stupor. So yes, stupid. Poorly educated, usually Caucasian people who did not pay enough attention in class to purchase a minute of their time, but they want to tell me about what it means to be black. Let's continue. So yes, there are some white people who are afraid of retribution. There are other white people who literally cannot function unless they are under the delusion that white people are superior. Here's the reason why, though. Because those people are usually poor white people. The white people who were usually in the most competition with enslaved black people and black people in sharecropping Jim Crow South. Odie, why is this relevant? It's not by design that most of these places that were burned down or torn down by white people were black enclaves of wealth. The government didn't do any of these things. They just looked past the white people who did it. This is the reason why wealthy white people only care about poor white people as far as they continue to engage in capitalism, because they can use poor white people as pawns to usurp black people, because they know that these white people, poor uneducated white people, will fight for their right harder to be a superior white than to set up equitable systems for all poor people that include black people. Why is white superiority central in all of this? Because poor white people, if they don't have white supremacy and white superiority, I firmly believe would start doing things terribly to themselves because the weight of their mediocrity would fall onto and collapse their internalized supremacy. That's the reason why people like DeSantis are fighting so hard for the removal of critical race theory. Because DeSantis and a bunch of other white people know that without white supremacy, a lot of y'all would be mediocre. And it's not just about being mediocre. You would be worse than a black. I got the drop on y'all.
Well, Lila, it's because white people don't share, they take. And I'm talking about a specific phenomenon, and I read all 5 of your comments and read them, and I disagree with each and every one of them, and I'll tell you why. Let me start with, I used to live in Haiti, and though we had bad experiences with white soldiers in the countries, whenever a foreigner came to Haiti and wanted to indulge in our culture, we found great pleasure in that. It meant the world to us that somebody wanted to participate in our culture and learn about us and our history, especially we came from a country that basically was shunned by the world just for getting our independence. And I understand that same mindset for a lot of other countries, right? A lot of Africans talk about when people come to Africa and they want to indulge in a culture that they don't mind, they find it wonderful. And I think it's still a wonderful thing to do. But that's not the same thing that happens here in America. White people don't want to indulge in black people's culture or Haitian culture or African culture. They want to take it, period. It's just that a lot of us black republics from these black countries don't have enough experience or enough evidence with that here in America, whereas African Americans have that. And just to understand, this is coming from my video where the girl called the braids Nala Smith braids, and we were like, no, they're box braids, please call them as they are, because white people have a tendency in white media to basically take black cultural things and make it their own, like Kim K box braids. And that's not indulging and respecting culture. That's not sharing culture. That's taking something that's not yours and making it yours. And truly, while everybody has the right and freedom of speech, it's just not right. I'm not just going to go to Japan, steal somebody's kimono or buy a kimono there and just come back to America and call it the Christina, I don't know, split dress. It doesn't make sense. And here's another thing. You're like, okay, well, if you don't want white people to indulge in your culture, well, then don't use the stuff that they made for us. Did you know that a lot of inventions that white people take credit for were actually invented by black people? Did you know that? Like electricity? Did you know that? No? Okay. Because I see your frustration and my nephew's knocking at the door. Let's wait for him to finish. He's finished. But I see your frustration, and I'm just letting you know that your frustration is put at the wrong place, because what you think is happening here is not. It's not that black people, specifically African Americans or Haitian Americans or Jamaican Americans, don't want white people to participate and love their cultures. They do, but they don't want them to take it. A good example would be that time Adele wore Bantu knots for Carnival years ago, and that was fine. She was dressed in Carnival attire, if I'm correct. She had like a Jamaican bathing suit on and everything. Like, that was fine. People enjoyed that. People made a fuss about it, like, these specific people, but majority of the people enjoyed it because it was nice. She indulged herself in the culture. She celebrated the culture. She didn't do the Bantu knots and call them the Adele twist. It's like majority of people indulging in compa nowadays. I love that. I'm so happy that they're doing it. But one of my fears is that they're going to do to compa what they're trying to do to Afrobeats and Latin music. Like having Mulatto on Unavailable with the Vito. That just didn't make sense. Or Drake learning every single other accent on here just so he can be on a song. And while you may not see the problems with these things, but these are still discussions we have within the black community, because a lot of people don't like that. I didn't like that Mulatto wasn't unavailable, especially because it just ruined the whole Afrobeats vibe. And that's my opinion, but we're constantly having these conversations in the diaspora and outside of it too, because they matter. And just because you don't understand that perspective doesn't mean it's not important. Thank you.
So this is all I got from this, and it's really amazing how they have really been working so hard to make sure that black people do not rise. Because if you are not working hard to make sure, I don't know how to put it, but I feel like they are already scared. But why are you scared if you all keep saying that you have not done anything? Because they keep saying that they have not done anything, and they also do not need to pay you all reparations and all that. So why are you working against them? Because if you are really sure and your heart is clear and clean that you have not done anything, why are you still all the time looking for a way to block their success? Because they actually do not want black people to rise and all of that. And why did they burn those thriving communities? What happened to them? How did they go down? There was a day I was just like, I think I was just reading through what happened during slavery and how, black community, how their houses and everything, and some their passports and their important documents got missing. So people, you can imagine your house, losing everything you have, and then going back to the bank to probably get your money, because some of them had money in the banks and all that, to be told that you cannot get that money. I mean, I sat down and I was like, look at what they endured. They really endured a lot. You can imagine losing all your things to some certain things, and then you are also willing, I am really really kind of sad right now, and you are also willing to move to another place again to start all over, which you actually did start to start all over. And then boom, they get an idea that oh, this community again, another community again. No, we cannot, it cannot be under our watch, and boom, that is it. So you can imagine how some of them endured, how some of them suffered some certain things, probably like high blood pressure, depression, and all that. Some ended up dying still without getting any reparations till this very moment. These are the things we look at, and then we sit back. I really know that for them being scared or anything is just their conscience beating them up, slapping them up and down, and kickboxing them. Black people really do not want to do anything. But that doesn't mean that you are gonna slap them here and they turn the other cheek for you to slap. That was back then, It is no longer happening. If there is something that they are so much in tune with, is to dismantle the system that has been oppressing them right from the onset till this very moment. Is that really too much to ask for? And now, from what Professor Odit said, Professor Odi is the black man. Shout out to him. He is really very brilliant. I love his content. And he said that, I remember that there is this thing I always say, that it's actually the rich palm-colored man telling poor palm-colored man that their problem, that the people, dealing with them are black people or black people, or it just, they are the rich ones who are using them as pawns against people that look like me. And I also remember that there was a video I brought here about a pop color woman who actually came to tell black people that if only people that look like her will come out and know that they have been used. Why? Because that she has really sat down to look at what has been going on in black community and how black people are being treated and all of that, and found out that black people and them have so much in common, but you all know how they would rather support their own instead of supporting people that look like them. But they already know the truth. So to this very moment, they are still using them to this time, and they cannot function without white supremacists, because that has been their culture, that has been what they have been embedded in, that has been what they have been functioning through. So how do you want them not to function with that? Because out of that, they really do not have anything to. So for them being scared that whatever that has been done to people that look like me, and that one day that they are going to wake up and do the same thing, it is just their conscience killing them. Because I don't think anybody's wanted. We just want to live and let live, do ours. Left for so many people that look like me, they really would never want to cross path or do anything with some certain kind of. They just, when you have had enough and all you want to do is just sit down, concentrate on yourself, do you, and not have to bother some certain things. So yeah, this is all I got from this. And also, the other one that actually said that pop color people. Okay, so she was saying that black people entitlement. What kind of entitlement are we talking about here? When their own culture, pop color people culture is just to take away. And people that are always looking for a way to take away from it, they really didn't have anything to give out, but they are always looking for somewhere to take something, grab it, and make it their own. If it's not the way black people has been screaming about box braids and some certain things and all that, trust me, and this is on period, one day we will wake up and find that they are telling you that box braids were. In fact, they still tell it, because sometimes when you try to tell them that this is we just do not want you people to wear that and all that, and they tell you it was probably originated from Australia, or probably originated, how they used to say and all that. So one day they are also going to wake up to tell you that this is actually our culture, and then you see in them trying to drag it, and black people also trying to drag it. I know what they can do. They can wake up to and do anything, and so many other things too. They just want to take, match to their own, and then before you know what it's going, it's actually theirs. See you all in my next video. Bye for now.